What is going on, you guys? Coming to you today with an Armada fleet build, and this one is actually in response. I've had a lot of people talk to me about maybe doing a battle report of one of the firing line Corvette builds. I had recently done a build where I did a bunch of Corvettes with disposable capacitors, gunnery team, things like spinal armament, and give them all Task Force Organa, so they all had those re-rolls, and I think I was using Leia as my commander, and I had a whole bunch of these guys, and just to fly them all together, and it would kind of have been like a slow-rolling Corvette type fleet, but I kind of went back to the drawing board on that because I didn't want to use Leia with that fleet. I think Leia is you know, she's one of those commanders that I just don't really find myself wanting to use lately, so I thought of something different. I thought of, well, you know what? I never used Task Force, or I'm sorry, wrong one. I never used Task Force Antilles, and that one could be fun. If they're going to be, you know, coming in close, maybe we'll get a couple of the cheaper Hammerhead torpedo corvettes with external racks and Task Force Antilles, and you know, like, you know, bring 4 of them out, and then have, you know, in the idea here is this was a kind of a fun idea, I thought. Is we'll do a Pelta with shields to maximum. So this way, when they're shooting my lead ship, I'll have other people take some of that damage. They'll be able to cancel, you know, the dice with the evade. They'll be able to cancel one die with the evades, and the other damage that gets through, we can kind of redirect and kind of disperse it a little bit, have another ship take the damage, and just keep that going to really minimize that incoming damage. And then, since all the other ships are going to be taking a damage, now all of a sudden shields to maximum might actually work. So I was thinking of doing that, and if I was going to do something like that, you could, you know, Riken is certainly an option, or even Mon Mothma could be an option there. If we were doing Mon Mothma on something like that, I would probably also put in a MC-30 torpedo frigate with, you know, with Foresight, because I like Foresight better with Mon Mothma, a lot better, as a matter of fact, because you can get, you know, you can cancel 2 dice even at medium range. This thing just becomes a complete powerhouse. Would give us some black dice stuff, but I shied away from all of that, and now I'm gonna bring you to the build that I settled on. So it is going to use Hammerheads because I haven't really, since I've had Hammerheads, I haven't flown a lot of them in a line yet. I've flown against them a lot of times, and I've flown like 1 or 2, but I haven't. You know, I've been using them more with Radis to, you know, drop one at close range. So I'm going to start with a Hammerhead Corvette, and I am going to run 4 of these, but I am going to do it a little different. I'm not going to use any titles, and I know that might sound weird, but the reason is for points, basically. So one of the things that eats up a lot of points is I want each of them to have gunnery teams. The reason I want them all to have gunnery teams is just because that front arc is the one we're going to try and take advantage of, and we want to make the most out of it, so this way they can do that. And they are also going to have disposable capacitors, so this way, if I don't have double front arc, or if I do have double front arc, that's great. I can make it, you know, extra dice there. I can throw that blue die all the way out, and if you know, and if I don't, well, then I can throw the side arc all the way out as well. It gives me a lot more options, and it's cheap too, and you get a lot of bang for your buck, and I like that a lot. And I'm going to add a turbo laser upgrade, but I'm going to go with quad battery turrets. Quad battery turrets is, you know, it's so much cheaper than some of the other ones that I might want to use, and what makes this one so accessible here is the fact that I'm going to be flying these guys really slow, and you have to come in fast at me to try to get in and do some nasty damage. And if you fly in slow and match my speed, no problem, because I'll be more than happy to not have that blue die, but it takes you a couple extra turns to get to me. That's fine, you know, because at long range I'm going to do really well against most other ships at long range. It's when you get into medium and close range that I have a problem with this Hammerhead Scout Corvette. So by all means, you know, come in real slow so I don't get that extra blue die. If you want to come in faster, you're going to pay for it. And so that's how I'm running these 4 Hammerhead Scout Corvettes. I'm going to run these guys in a line, like side by side, next to each other. Might fan them out a little bit, but yes. And there was a couple of ways that I could have run this forward And I had actually also thought about putting some GR75 combat retrofits in here and having them use disposable capacitors as well, so they could get some other long-range damage. But I decided against that as well, and figured I would diversify just a little bit. And so I figured since they have 2 red in the front, at least I'm going to get those 2 red. So let's go ahead and make this a Sato fleet. And if I'm going to go with a Sato fleet, one of the good options is a Nebulon. And I could go, I could definitely go with a Nebulon with Salvation, because now I roll black dice at long range. They'll end up being 3 damage, and that's really, really awesome. But I made a change. And I decided I'd be a little more well-rounded, and I would do a Yavaris instead. Just because I do need somebody doing squadron commands. These guys, these Hammerheads, they can probably take a squadron token first turn, which is not a bad idea. Like, let them bank a token for that. That's probably a good idea. But ultimately, Yavaris is going to be the one pushing the squadrons. So I need that, and it also works because Yavaris has that 3 dice in the front. So we're going to be able to get, Sato doing some stuff there, and that much is awesome. So I have Sato here now. As far as deployment, one of the things that I could, in theory, do is kind of fan these guys out and put Sato like kind of right in the middle. So anybody who wants to try to come in and get side arcs on Sato is going to have to come through at least 2 of the Hammerhead Corvettes to do it. Now that being said, I think that's about all of the ships we're going to add for right now, because I'm going to use the rest. Now this is already a good number of ships. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ships, and each of them, 4 of them have gunnery teams, so we can attack like 9 different targets in our front fan very easily, and rolling lots of black dice, especially if we're doing concentrated fire commands. We can throw a lot of dice. Now evades are going to hurt, but because we have so many ships, you're not going to be able to evade that many dice, especially if we're concentrating our fire on a single, a single enemy ship. That being said, let's go ahead and add some squadrons. I've been saying that being said a lot. I don't know. I think I need a different transitionatory phase or phrase or something. All right. So I am going to put 4 Z95s in this list. Z95s are very cheap, and they're a great way to just move somebody in and, basically to tie up enemy squadrons. They're well-rounded. They're very, very cheap. Speed 3, 3 hull. But the red dice are actually pretty cool. Z95s can totally randomly be superstars and roll 2 damage against an enemy ship, so I love that. Additionally, I'm going to put 2 Y-Wings in here. Well, not Gold Squadron, although Gold Squadron is awesome, but Y-Wings are cheap, and I'm going to fit 2 of those in. Now, the 2 Y-Wings are going to be there to do some regular damage. I mean, they're pretty much there just to do damage, and that's what they're going to do. And additionally, we're going to add some aces, and the best aces for a Tycho build are Tycho Selchu, in my opinion, and Shara Bay. They are going to be there to jump right into big heavy swarms and really tie them up. Shara Bay, because she's got the scatter, and anybody who tries to shoot at her is probably going to die. And then Tycho, because he's got the scatter, and anybody who tries to shoot at him is probably gonna be wounded, but then he can just move away. So he doesn't need any intel, so I don't have to worry about putting any HWKs in this list. And this brings me up to 399. You could modify this a little bit. I could, if I wanted Gold Squadron instead of 2 regular Y-Wings, I could, probably drop both of those, do 1 Gold Squadron and 1 Z95, because otherwise I'd be like 401. But this is what I've come up with, and it's an even number of squadrons. We've got, we got 8 squadrons, so 8 squadrons is not half bad. It's 81 points. I think we're fairly well-rounded. The Z95s aren't super strong. They'll probably die pretty quick, but if you combo them, with your A-Wings, then you're going to take advantage of the swarm ability on the Z95s. Move the A-Wing in first, then move the Z95s in. Even Yavaris, which granted Yavaris is probably going to want to do stuff like maybe your Y-Wings finally get that bombing shot, and then you can use Yavaris for that. Or maybe your Z95s are going to roll a whole bunch of red. Maybe you're going to roll 6 damage, against an enemy TIE bomber or something like that, and maybe you're going to want to use Yavaris on the Z95s. So you have a lot of very different options here. And I kind of like that. Maybe you're going to have one of these A-Wings attacking a ship. You know, maybe Tycho is, you know, in a great position, and, you know, you just need to kill that one ship that's got one hull or two health left. So a lot of options for the squadrons that we are using. And I think because they're expendable enough and because the A-Wings, I don't think we'll need intel in this list. So let's look at objectives now. Now, one thing to keep in mind, we don't have flotillas, so I'm definitely not going to be doing Most Wanted, but since I have a lot of shooty ships, and we're going to be already rolling lots of black dice at long range, I'm definitely going to have to go with Opening Salvo here. Opening Salvo is just going to be monstrously huge in these in this particular list. It's going to be pretty much a given. Although, and granted, you could consider you know, one of the squadron favorable lists, but I don't have that many bombers, so you know, I don't have that many ships also activating squadrons. So outside of maybe the first turn, everybody banking a token, we're going to have a lot of turns where we're relying on the squadron phase for the ships to move around. And that's one of the great things about Tycho, is that he doesn't care. You know, he can just move wherever he wants to move. For our defense, there's, you know, we're kind of well-rounded, so we don't necessarily have to go with anything in particular. So I'm just going to go with Planetary Ion Cannon. And for our navigation, I'm going to go with Superior Positions this time as opposed to Solar Corona, because we do have so many squadrons. I think it won't be that hard to get behind everybody else, and I know my opponent's not going to be able to get behind me. So I'm definitely going to go with Superior Positions in that one. But yeah, this is that is pretty much the plan. Another cool thing about Planetary Ion Cannon here is just, you know, if I put them all to one side, I can kind of filter, you know, basically I can force you to come into the death trap of all of these corvettes or face the ion cannon. So if, you know, I can space them outside if I really want. You know, plus Planetary Ion Cannon is one of those that really doesn't ever benefit my opponent. So you know, this one only helps me, which is another pretty good thing about it, because every once in a while you'll have one of those objectives where your opponent will be able to just turn it against you. So I am going to be using this in an upcoming battle report, so stay tuned for that. That will be going live on Patreon for early access to all of my what are they? They're at the A-Wing level and above. So if you want to see this battle report early, you can check it out on Patreon. And a big thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon. You guys are awesome. If you're interested, I'll have a link to it down in the description below. But it will eventually be coming live as well. So if you're not, I still appreciate you guys' support in watching all of my videos. So it is coming for everybody as well. And that's one of the things that I'm doing on Patreon is, amongst other things, I'll be doing early access videos for a lot of my battle reports and some other really good stuff. Breaking news and stuff and all that stuff is still going to go straight live, but some of the you know, some of the other types of content are going to be early exclusives to Patreon, and then will come out later on. Also, we have a big giveaway going on right now for 3 X-Wing 2.0 conversion kits. So you can go ahead and enter to win one of those just by becoming a subscriber and leaving a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. Here is the list all printed out and kind of ready to go. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to click that like button and subscribe. Click that little bell for alerts so you don't miss out on when new content is being published. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.